5 from hello. Just stepping and walking on you. Today we got the Yuttas on, so please watch your step. You know. But let me find out. Mr. Trump and them is pulling up to Philadelphia. God damn. First of all, why would you not collab with Mr. Ye on them shoes, sir? Because them things is looking trash. Now, I know they hyping them up, the resale going up and all that. And what? You got to come better than that. You know what I'm saying? You try to step in our lane. You know what I'm saying? You try to win a couple of people over on this side over, which I don't know how much that's working out. But by the look of them sneakers, you ain't getting nobody over this way. You know what I'm saying? But man, Ye out here supporting, wearing the hats and all that. You could have at least reached out to him. You know what I'm saying? And worked on some collaboration. But you got to come better than that, man. You know what I'm saying? So, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Forget all the small talk. You know what I'm saying? But season 2, episode 4. And it's a vintage vibe today. It is a vintage vibe today. Got one of them heavy hitters in the building. We in his building, matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all check the aesthetics. You know what I'm saying? You see the background. You seen the teaser video and all that. You know? And y'all know the name. I'm sure y'all been down here shopping. But for season 2, episode 4, let them know who we got on the Wavy Wagyu.
What's up, everyone? My name is Christian, and I'm the owner of the Closet PGH.
Hello. Come on, you can clap louder than that. Hey, we in the closet, goddammit. How you feeling today, man?
I'm good. I've been working all day. Glad to have you guys out here and, be a part of this. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, man. We thank you for, inviting us into your, what they say, the humble abode. You know what I'm saying? What's all them fancy words they use, Blanco? I don't know, man. I ain't heavy into the dictionary and all that, but yeah, man, we appreciate you, inviting us here into the good vibes, man, the good vintage vibes. We got VHSs on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's giving 90s. We got action figures, you know what I'm saying? Good Space Jam Toon Squad shit. Wheaties up there. Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, MH gonna get all that on the camera, man, but this is a good vibe in here, bro. I like the setup. I believe this is the first time I actually been inside your store, though we have ran across each other a few different times. So I definitely want to say that you do a great job of building the aesthetic. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. The idea is that when you walk in, you get hit with like a blast from the past. So like you said, we got the vintage VHSs, the Wheaties boxes, the shoes, the magazines, everything,
Yeah, man. Let's just start out from the beginning, bro. What era were you born in? Because, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to vintage, like, we got to, you know what I'm saying, figure out where it all started from, where the love came from. What era were you born in?
For sure. So I was actually born in 2001. So I'm 22 years old right now, but I've been selling vintage and buying vintage since I was 14 years old, or 15 about, I should say. But yeah, I'm a Y2K baby, but I have an extreme passion for the 90s, 80s, and all the vintage. It's all about the repurpose, reuse, recycle. That's the secondhand fashion industry. That's what I love.
Nice. Okay, so when it comes to 90s and the 80s, which era are you picking when it comes to vintage?
Definitely 90s, because like basically, I grew up, like, I have a brother who's a couple years older than me, and I grew up on what he grew up on. So anything that he liked, anything that he resonated with, it kind of just flowed to me.
Good 90s, baby. Hello. I was just making sure you was gonna say the right answer. You know what I'm saying? Good 90s. He said, MH said, nah, man, 80s, man. But that Space Jam was a 90s movie, man. And this Space Jam slapped all over that wall, MH. So, we got to give it up to them 90s babies, all that. You know what I'm saying? But you said you started out, no, we ain't going to go. We going to go keep it back there. Now, what type of toys was you into, man? You know what I'm saying? What was your childhood like? You know, what was see
Power Rangers and Legos were like my go-to. And then I had these blocks, like they were like 2x4s, but they were cut up in a bunch of different ways. I like to build, little houses and whatnot. But yeah,
good Legos, bro? Definitely, you gotta have patience with Legos. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? Because one false move, your whole masterpiece is done, and then before you know it, you bleeding from the toe because you accidentally took the wrong step. You know, so that's just my experience with the Legos. You know what I'm saying? But Power Rangers. Who's your favorite Power Ranger, bro?
I'm going with red all the way. I grew up on Power Rangers, watching that every night at 7 p.m. In my family room. That was red. Red was my go-to, and that's actually a color I like to dress a lot with. So red and black and tan are my favorite for sure. Colors to dress with, but it definitely came from the red Power Ranger.
Red Ranger, huh? We got Christian, aka the Red Ranger, up here today. You know what I'm saying? Hell yeah, man. Now I see we got some wrestling work up on the wall, and that I could say is was a big part of my childhood when it came to toys, action figures, and things like that. So let's talk about your interest in wrestling.
So believe it or not, those ones were some gifts to me. So I just put them up on the wall. But I was that kid that was like, oh, WWE, all that stuff's fake. I was like, oh, I thought it was cool. I thought I was ahead of the times, being like, oh, you guys are youngin. I'm a little older. Like I already understand that that's fake. But believe it or not, I was really actually never into the whole WWE thing.
So you were even feeling like it was fake as a kid?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. And I knew, it's kind of like with the Santa thing. Like I knew from an early age, but the whole WWE thing, I was like, I'm not for this. When I grew up watching like Chuck Norris rather than watching WWE.
Fuck, bro. You said Santa wasn't real, WWE wasn't real. Who pissed in your Cheerios? No, bro, but okay. If we were to, highlight a wrestler, who we going with, man? Who?
I'm going with Stone Cold for sure.
Bro, you're 2 for 2.
316.
He's 2 for 2, ladies and gentlemen. He went with the 90s over the 80s. Hello. And he went with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So act wrong and get stunnered. Fuck yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Stone Cold's my guy, man. Like, it was just something about, like, he was just a big fucking rebel. Like, yo, I felt like there was times where I'm like, all right, wrestling may be a little fake, but you just want to believe this shit is a little real. Like, yo, when he's in the fucking hospital beating McMahon's ass, pulling the fucking cords, you know what I'm saying, out of him on his deathbed and shit. Like, yo, how could you not feel that's not real? You remember that one?
I do not. No.
Bro, he's fucking kicking his ass, pulling the he hit what's the joint when they clear? You know what I'm saying?
Not the CPR. What is that?
We gonna call it the little CPR joint. Bro, he's beating his ass and he's hitting him with the thing. I'm like, yo, this shit gotta be real, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's one wrestler that made you feel like wrestling was reality. Like, yo, I might be able to fucking kick a op's ass, you know what I'm saying? Pull the cord off, pull the cord out from them while they're in the hospital bed, you know what I'm saying?
For sure, you can't go wrong with The Rock either, and like his story and everything. I've watched a couple podcasts on him, his come up and everything, his upbringing. That's crazy too.
Yeah, bro. The Rock was my guy and shit too, just cause that eyebrow shit was cool, but I got a little old. I ain't gonna lie, Rock. Like, yo, why you giving me that look, bro? You throwing me off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But all right, so you was thrifting at a young age. You mentioned 14 and 15.
Yes.
Bring me into that. How that started.
Yeah. So basically, I grew up, and I had two parents, and then eventually, they ended up getting divorced. Went to live with my mom. I didn't have a lot of money. And, pretty much it was like if I wanted something, I had to, earn it, make it myself, buy it, which is, it didn't seem, fun at the time, but it definitely instilled some good life lessons in me. But basically, at 14, I was too young to get a worker's permit, get a real job. So I decided to go to Goodwill. I started thrifting North Face, Columbia, Patagonia, jackets like that, and started my eBay account at 14 years old. So I still have that same account, but basically was, making anywhere from 70 to $100 a week, and then next thing you know, find like a vintage piece, and that's what kind of caught me on that wave. But yeah, started selling at 14 years old.
That's dope, bro. And if you know, man, that was like the best platform to get money is that eBay. You know what I'm saying? Before it really got oversaturated and they're taking all these fees and shit from you, you know. But when you were going to thrift, you said you're looking for North Face and Columbia and all that. What, um, who did you see or who gave you the knowledge on knowing that these were the brands to go for?
More so, it was just like the name, like everyone knows North Face, everyone knows Patagonia, Columbia, etc. And back in the day, you could get jackets in the thrift, 2015 for around $2.99 to $5.99. So it was like, you're buying a jacket for $3 to $5, and you're selling it anywhere from 25 to 40. So it was more so eBay comps, and just like learning as I went. That was like the starting ground was brand names and just selling what I could.
Who did you learn from when it came to thrifting and just knowing what to pick out?
So like I said, like basically I checked eBay comps because you can go to eBay sold, see what stuff is selling for, and it's like, oh, like this certain North Face jacket that's worth like 40, $50. So if I would see it at the thrift, I'd try and pick it up. But there was definitely some like YouTubers and whatnot. Eventually, to jump ahead a little bit, Mr. Shout out to Paul Cantu. I've been watching him for almost like 8 years now, 9 years, and he's the one who kind of put on like the vintage knowledge for me. But as far as like the brand names, it was myself, learn as I went.
Okay. Yeah, because back when I was thrifting, what type of stuff was I going for, bro? I really was just heavy on like certain T-shirts, more so like the rap tees and things like that. I see you got the Calvin Klein there. That was more so just it didn't feel like a vintage vibe for me at the time, but it's grew into that and all that. But what um, what places did you like to go to thrifting?
So I went to the two Goodwills in Cranberry. I'm originally from like Mars, PA, and I didn't have a car. I was at 14 at the time, so it's like, all right, where could I go when my mom was taking my brother or my sister somewhere? So squeezing in between, we'd hit the two Cranberry Goodwills. The 19 one was by far the best one for me. It's like go there once a week, try and buy a couple items, and and grow from there. So
Goodwill, bro.
you can't go there no more, that's for sure.
Nah, man. It's more so people don't really donate to those places because you're able to get money for your vintage pieces. So um, I would say pretty much people are looking to like sell them to certain places, not more so than donate them.
And the fact that they now have like guides in the back, and it's like all right, if this has a single stitch or if this has the 90s or 80s official date on it, they won't even put it out on the floor. They're just going to tuck it away in the back for their e-commerce site. So it's like Goodwill is a thrift store that I will not touch. I don't thrift too much, nowadays, but one store I will not go to is Goodwill, that's for sure.
And you touched on something that was big, single stitch and tags and
Yeah.
things like that. Can we talk about certain things inside vintage garments that brings out the value of it?
Yeah, so definitely some things that make a vintage garment vintage more valuable. For one is the stitching, two is the tag, and then three is like the overall wear of an item. So, like some telltale signs, if it's single stitch, one instead of two lines on the sleeve, that means it's single stitch. Chances are it's from the 90s or before. Uh, they adopted double stitching in the 90s, which I don't know if it was cheaper or whatnot, but that's like the new standard. But like certain tags can be associated with more better value. So giant tags in specific, if you find a giant tag, usually 9 times out of 10, it's like a concert T-shirt or something. So if you find a giant tag, chances are that you can make a good buck on it.
When you say giant, are you referring to the size or is it
It
a
just
brand?
it's literally called the giant. It was the blank they used. I don't know if bands or whatnot had like specifically used these for a reason, but most band tees and whatnot, if they're official, they were printed on giant tags in the 90s.
Now with the single stitch, is that help the garment, the t-shirt last longer, or is it just a sign that it was made during a certain time?
It was more so just a sign that it was made, in the 90s or before. It's just the hem on the bottom of a tee or the hem on the cuffs.
Yeah, because I was always wondering why people were like, yo, this is single stitch, yo, this is, and I'm just thinking like, I feel like double stitch would be better, but
It Yeah, I mean, it probably is better, but it was something they use. It's more of just a telltale sign. That's where people like love the single stitch. It's like, oh, if it's single stitch, it's probably from the 90s.
right, right. And I also heard someone talk about, I think it's Levi's, and we were talking about tags. Is there like a certain such thing where it's they got like orange tag? They got. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, so it's orange tab is similar to like single stitch. Like if you find orange tabs, chances are they're from the 90s. But the one cool thing about Levi's is on the inside tag, they're always dated. If it's not faded out or anything, you can tell the month it was made and then the year it was made. So if it's like, let's say there's a 10-digit UPC on the back of the tag, it'll be like 0196 blah blah blah. It's like, oh, well, that'll tell you it was made in January of 1996. And the same thing goes for like Carhartt and some other brands. Most of the time, for those big name brands, you can date them directly from the tag.
When did you feel Carhartt became, I guess, vintage mainstream? If you get what I'm saying here.
I would say a couple years ago, like some big people wore like Travis, Kanye, and then I think that's when people really opened up their eyes. Cause like everything comes and goes, but I would say if you wore like a thrash Carhartt jacket like 6 years ago, people would be like, what are you rocking? But
Right.
nowadays, if you have that thrash Carhartt, it's like, oh, where he got that on? Like, where'd he get that?
Right, right, yeah, because I feel like that's big and nowadays. The car vest and all that. Now, when it comes to vintage and thrifting and stuff like that, just like my viewers, I know that it takes a lot of patience sifting through these racks, like going through tees. Like you can go through a rack full of 150, 200 tees just to look for that one. Talk about like the patience you have to be looking through and what I'm saying, finding this type of stuff.
Yeah, it's nothing but patience. You can go a whole day, you can hit 3 stores, 4 stores, and not find a single vintage item, and you can go to that last thrift store and bam, you find 10 single stitch T-shirts or 10 Harley Davidsons, and it can make the whole trip worth it. Patience is key. I literally have that tattooed on my leg, but patience is key, especially when it comes to vintage. Because one T-shirt or a couple T-shirts can make your whole week, can make your whole day, etc.
Bro. And even there's certain vintage places like that'll have the bins.
Yeah, the bins.
Are you good with those?
I actually don't go to the bins. So like I now like today, I run the store Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 7. Monday is usually my office day. So I was here for about 8 hours before you guys showed up. And it's like I don't have time for it, but it's more so like I would much rather pay more of a premium price for specific items rather than spend my time there, because time is money. That's the number one thing, and I can't be at 2 places at once. So
Right.
that's a trade-off I'm willing to make. Pay a little bit more, but get a little bit better curation.
Right, right, right. Now, outside of vintage stores, what are some other places that are good to thrift? Like,
Garage sales and flea markets. I hate to give up the sauce or whatnot, but you can put everyone on. But that's my favorite, because with those garage sales and flea markets, they tend to happen in the morning, so I can usually go to hit those on the weekend and then come to the store. And hit a 2-for-1 special. But also you got to think at garage sales and most of the time for flea markets, rather than people trying to sell something, they're more so trying to get rid of it. So you can oftentimes get a better deal as well.
and they may not understand the value that they have in it. It may
Exactly.
come from someone else that, they understood the value, but they're just like, hey, I'm just trying to get this off here. Give me something for it.
Exactly. Clear the space.
Yeah, yeah. Now, have you had any family members that had some good pieces? You might have went through their closets or anything.
Yeah, my dad, he doesn't buy like any new clothes. He believe it or not, like he was the first person who took me thrifting when I was like 6 or 7. It's funny what comes around goes around, but I bought a pair of Averex jeans, or however you pronounce the name.
Definitely Averex, big Averex.
And I bought a pair of jorts, I should say. And
Mhm.
this was when I was way young, and I saw Soldier Boy in one of his music videos. He was wearing them, and then I went to, I believe it's the American Thrift Center in West Mifflin with my dad, and they had a pair, and they were like $2 at the time, so I bought them.
The one over by the Kennywood.
Yeah, and like Shop and Save and that plaza.
Oh, he just put
Yeah,
y'all on.
yeah,
That's one of my spots, Blanco. Hold up.
that was my first thrift store hit when I was really like 6 or 7 years old. My dad put me on. But going back to pieces, my dad he loves to just like reuse, recycle. Doesn't really buy too much. But the past couple years I've been able to grab a couple pieces. So like I have 2 of his band tees. Because my dad, he's a big Van Halen, Rush fan, would go to all the concerts. He'd buy a parking lot tee or one on the inside. He had those and he wore them forever. And so I have 2. I have an STP T-shirt from him, and then I have a Van Halen T-shirt from him, and I still wear them to this day. And it's like the fact that he wore them. Most of the T-shirts he ended up cutting in the grass, and like there's general wear to it. And it's like now that's like really the trend. And to be able to wear something that my dad wore for a while and then like tucked it away. He's like, oh, maybe I'll use this as a rag or something. That's pretty special to me. So
Yeah, yeah, that shit's dope. That shit's dope. So sounds like Pops actually gave you a little sauce too when it comes to the vintage and stuff.
oh, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, he put me on back in the day. I love my dad. He's more of a cheaper guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he was the person that originally put me on to the thrift stores. And back in the day, I was like, oh, thrifting and stuff. Like, it's whatever. But now I'm like, I have a greater appreciation for that now because it really opened up my eyes.
Yeah, man. Shout out Pops, bro. I knew had somebody in the family. You know what I'm saying, had a little vintage in them. So you was picking through Pop's closet early, seeing what he had.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like my dad went to Pitt and Duquesne, so I have like 2 of his crew necks that he bought, at like the bookstores back then, and I still wear them. I just put up an Instagram post like 3 days ago. I was wearing his Pitt one. It's like people don't really know that, but like it means a lot for me to be able to wear that, something that he wore 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, they'll be able to pass it down. You know what I'm saying, to your
Exactly.
kids and things like that. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about, I seen on your Instagram, you had a post saying like Laundry Day.
Laundry day, yeah. So everything in the store and everything online is washed and ready to be worn.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, like today is my Monday. Today's Monday. It's my office day. So typically, I'll go to the laundromat, and then I'll come in here, I'll tag it, I'll steam it, etc. But I don't know. I think it's crucial. Like I think it's crucial to wash the garments and launder them, just because there's some other vintage stores in Pittsburgh. There's a few of them, and you got to stay a little bit separate for them, and stand out a bit. So offering a service where knowing people, what I say is you can literally wear that right out the store, and it happens. People will pick a whole new fit and they'll walk out right with it, and I take pride in that, because there's nothing like having a clean garment, because the feeling of like when you get a cool T-shirt at the thrift, you're like, oh man, I got to go home and wash it. It's like you come here to the closet, you can literally walk out wearing it. So
What are some techniques that you do when it comes to washing these garments? Because I know they're like one false move away from being ripped, or you got to be able to just take them and handle them with care. So, what laundry techniques do you
the
to use?
number one thing I do and I recommend to everyone is turning the garment inside out, to preserve the screen printed graphics. So a lot of people, when they see cracked screen print, stuff like that, they think it's from hot water or the dryer, the heat. But really what it is two screen printed garments in the washer and the dryer rubbing up against each other, and that's what causes it to crack. So basically, if you flip your garments inside out, wash them on medium warm heat, dry them on medium warm hot. Keep an eye out for them so they don't shrink. You should be good. And then obviously you want to have, for me, how I do it is I wash my like grays, blacks, navies, etc. in one pile, my whites in another, and then like red, yellow, orange in a third. And that's like my rule of thumb. It's never failed me, knock on wood. But yeah, that's what I would recommend to people. The number one thing is flipping the garments inside out.
Give us a story where you came across some holy grails or something that you didn't expect, or you just came across you came to a garage sale and you seen a bin, and you know what I'm saying, just give us a good story.
So one of my favorite and best stories to date is this was like 3 months before I was opening my storefront in 2021, and I hopped on Facebook Marketplace. Let me set the stage. It's a Thursday. It's a Thursday evening. I'm heading to Florida the next day at 5 a.m. with my family for the first family vacation in a couple years. I'm gonna hop on Facebook Marketplace, and I see this like box of Harley T-shirts, and it's in Canton, Ohio, and it's 49 miles away. Like the range limit was 50 miles. And I flipped through. It was literally taken on like a flip phone, and I was like, I could tell these are old. And I didn't have a car at the time, and I was like, Mom, like I need to use your whip. Let me go out to the house. She's like, like, sorry, I can't. So I call my brother. Shout out to my bro, Alex, Pittsburgh Smoke Shop. He's like, yo, I'll be home at 9. You can use or 9:30. You can use the whip. So I'm messaging these people. I'll be like, yo, I'll be there at 10, 10:30. And then eventually it's like my brother was a little late. I was like, I'll be there around 11. They're like, no later. So I drive out there. I get there around 10:45 at 11 o'clock. This lady literally comes out in her pajamas, and her husband comes out. The nicest, sweetest people. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've had this box of Harleys. My husband rode from 80 to 91. And I look at the box, and literally, like, I was pulling out a T-shirt after T-shirt after T-shirt, and I'm, like, trying to contain this excitement on my face because, like, the photos they posted of the T-shirts were the 3 worst T-shirts in that lot. And I paid $50 for, I think, 20 T-shirts it was. And I was like, super excited. Give them the money, head back home, and then, go to Florida for a week, have a good time. I come back. And I list all the T-shirts at once. I make an Instagram post, and within 2 hours, I sold that lot for $1,500. So realistically, I could have sold that the next day, but I didn't have the time. I was in Florida. But that was probably like one of my most favorite and biggest come ups at garage sale flea market type of vibe.
Sheesh, 50 to 15. That deserves some Blanco bombs. God damn. And that's one thing about this, vintage lane, man, thrifting lane is like, if you know what you're seeking and you're, going to go get, you can make you a nice come up off of this stuff.
Oh, for sure. There's good money associated with it, but I do it for the love of the game, the love of the fashion. It's cool, and I get to meet a ton of cool people, and like just hearing this, like knowing that with that buyout, knowing that I met the original owner who traveled around the United States on his Harley Davidson, and then I eventually got to own those T-shirts. It was a pretty cool feeling, but believe it or not, all of those T-shirts ended up shipping off to Taiwan. A lot of Harley Davidson collectors are based in Taiwan, so. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Thailand.
Okay. All right. Now, when it comes to rap tees, tour tees, and things like that, what are some things that you look for, some tees that are just, of value in the thrifting lane?
So going back to, like you said, like you're going back to what I said, the giant tag, that's like a telltale sign of like a good rock t-shirt or a good tour t-shirt, something like that. The rap tees, personally, I've actually never owned one. Just like the value associated with them, they can be anywhere from like $300 to $5,000. So in store, I typically like to sell stuff from $15 to $50. So it's not really in my lane, but like if I were to come across one, I would definitely buy it, try and flip it. But you can never go wrong with like a good concert, a good band tee, something like that, etc.
Okay, so like what specific artists or like groups that people like to buy based off of what you?
I would say the number one band tee is probably Metallica. You can never go wrong. They have a bunch of variations. They went on tour all the time. Those are really solid sellers. And then, those are like the basic black tees, gray, faded. But like my personal favorite band tees to sell are the Grateful Dead, just because of the tie-dye, and like the liquid blue, which is the base tag they would use for them, the garments. It's just so cool. The design on those compared to other band tees, they were ahead of their time for sure. And they've been around for so long, and the tees hold value. It's like pretty much if you find a Grateful Dead T-shirt from the '90s, '80s, you're at least getting $100, at the bare minimum.
Right. Now to shift lanes a little bit, I see that your brand is heavy on Pittsburgh sports.
For
You
sure.
love to highlight the Pittsburgh sports, whether it's Pitt, the Penguins, Pirates, Steelers. Talk about just your love for Pittsburgh sports.
Oh man, I love that. You can never go wrong. It's the city of gold, black and gold. I think we're actually the only city that has 2 or 3 sports teams that all rep the same colors. And it's like the city of steel. Yinzers or ride or die. They love what they have. Chances are, if you go into any person, anybody's closets over the age of like 40, they're gonna have a tee of each team. But I love sports. I grew up watching it with my dad, whether it was the Steelers games on Sundays or watching Pitt games, throughout the week. I love it for sure, and I'm extremely thankful for Pittsburgh sports, and how ride or die the fans are, because that's helped grown and elevate my business. So.
All right. So you get a nice piece of mail. Well, let's say a couple pieces of mail. And each of them is a contract. One from the Pirates, one from the Penguins, one from the Steelers. All structured the same, all got the same amount of money on them. Who you going with?
Pens, 100%. Shout out the Penguins. I love hockey. Don't get me wrong. Baseball's cool. The Steelers, NFL is cool, but hockey, NHL, I'd say that's where my heart lies. It's nonstop action, and that's what I'm all about. Keeping up with the pace. There's nothing. Don't get me wrong. I'm playing Renegade at Heinz Field, Acrisure, whatever they call it. That's cool, but like.
That's Heinz. We're gonna call that. Heinz.
Yeah. We'll call it Heinz.
Yeah.
But just going to a Pens game and like the energy they possess there, I love it. Might not be doing the best right now, but I have the most love for the Pens for sure.
You got any sports background?
I played like a bunch of different sports when I was growing up. I never really stuck to anything. I played a little bit of basketball. I dabbled into lacrosse for a bit, and I got a really bad concussion, hopped out of that. Ended up finishing high school playing ultimate frisbee, which was probably the most fun. It was a bunch of good people just hanging out, tossing the disc. So
definitely kick some ass in gym class. Ultimate frisbee. If you know, you know. Swear. But yeah, man. Okay, so we going to the Pens. You know what I'm saying? We got Christian signed to the Pens, man. A nice 1 year deal. You know what I'm saying? We just gonna restructure the deal after to see what he does for the Pens. What position we playing?
Probably left wing. I'll be right-handed in hockey, so toss me in the left wing. I actually played deck hockey for 1 year in 6th grade, so. Believe it or not, I got a little bit of skill out there, but I haven't played in a while.
Kicking the ass on the ice?
No, honestly, no. I got deck hockey. That was my first year. It was still a learning process, but no, we couldn't fight or anything back then. It was more of just like a Sunday activity for me.
I just always thought that was so dope how they just let you fight. Like, yo, in football, you do the wrong move, it's a flag. In basketball, you say the wrong thing, it's a tech. On the ice, the referee's just watching you, getting the fair one. I always loved that.
I think it's a respect thing, like back in the day, like I feel like people used to like fist fight, whatever on the street, whatnot. They dap up, be cool after that. And I think it's the same thing with hockey still to this present day, is that people literally fist fight. They'll give a handshake. They'll be good after that, whether they don't. But it's just like, it's something that it's a tradition that's gone on for a while. And, just to see a fist fight go down and then at the end of the game, good game, and we'll be back again. So
my one experience of a Penguins game, I really went to go to see a fight. I'm like, yo, All I want to see is a fight. I swear. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably maybe like 12, 13 years old. Not too sure how long. Penn's game was cool. It was just good for, you know what I'm saying, being in that atmosphere for the first time. But I'm like, damn, man, they didn't fight. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how it was. The game was almost over. I'm like, yeah, man, it's time to get out of here. So we're leaving. We're heading out. And all I hear is, "Ah!" We go back in, and all I see is them fighting on the glass, bro. I'm like, yes, this is what I came for. But one thing about hockey, everybody got the same move. You grab them with one hand, and you just start throwing the other. There ain't no uppercut, no dip. You know what I'm saying? No bob and weave. They said we're going to make sure we keep our balance, and we just going to go straight to the jaw with it.
Yeah, no, it's hockey's crazy, and it's like the last game I went to. The one thing about hockey is the game can change in the matter of a second. So whether it's a fight that gets the crowd going or a goal, that gets the crowd amped and the team amped, it's hockey can change in the matter of a second, and that's why I would choose hockey over any other sport. As far as Pittsburgh professional sports,
Fire, bro. So let's talk about the growth of your vintage business. Now, you say you were starting off on eBay selling things.
yeah.
When did you figure out that you wanted to make this an actual business, turn this into a brand? When did that come about?
So to dive a little bit deeper into it, before I got heavy into the vintage, I hopped on the Supreme wave. So you got to think, this is like 2015, 2016. This is what I would call the prime time of Supreme. I'll never forget my brother. He bought a hat off the website, and he showed me. He's like, "Yeah, I bought this hat for $45. I could sell for $65." And I was just like mind blown at the fact that you could resell a new brand. So pretty much with that, I got into the whole like Supreme phase, the whole crowbar, like that, all that aspect. And then at the time, I started an Instagram for my personal, and then I think I came across what I forget his Instagram, but he would pretty much go to New York City and buy the newest drop of Supreme every time, and people would just go crazy for him. So eventually around 2016 is when I started an Instagram account for reselling. So this is predominantly Supreme. I was still thrifting at the time, North Face and Columbia, but that wasn't really hype. That was more of like, get your bread and don't really talk about it. So I created an account, and I believe the first username was sup.pgh, like supreme.pgh.
Yeah.
And then I was still continuing to thrift and whatnot, but like, the Supreme was cool. I can remember sitting in like my study hall at 10:50, 10:30 to 11:20 and trying to get the drops, and I would get one tee a week, and flip it for $20. It was cool, but like the profit wasn't there. But as I continued to thrift more, the really big turning point for vintage for me was I found a Michael Jackson t-shirt. So I bought this t-shirt for $1.99, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It's from 1988. I believe it was the Bad tour. I listed it, and I listed it for $125. And then the next day I woke up and I had $110 in my PayPal, meaning that it sold. And I was like, oh, like this is cool. Like there's money to be made. The t-shirt was cool. I was like, I'm going to try and pick this up. So that was like the starting point of my vintage reselling career, was Michael Jackson t-shirts. So
Shout out to the legend, the icon, Michael Jackson himself. Okay. But yeah, do you feel like Supreme ignited, of course they ignited the resale, but like just the thrill of thrifting for you?
yeah, 100%, because it was like an eye opener. Like when my brother was like, "Oh, I bought this for 45 and I can sell it for 65, off the drop." Like that was like that's cool. So like I tried to stick with it. The thing was, I didn't have the resources to continue selling Supreme. So a lot of people had bots or in-person proxies, and I just didn't have those connections. So I was like, well, if I can't do it this way, I'm gonna have to do it another. Like at this time I was about 15, 16, so I actually got a job and was earning like an income besides reselling. But like when I found that Michael Jackson t-shirt, I was like, this is sick. But Supreme definitely opened my eyes to the whole reselling industry, because Literally, they would slap Supreme on any item and it would sell out and sell for more than it retailed for. And I was like mind-boggling to me at the time.
Hmm. So when did it get to that point to where you're like, man, we gotta expand a little bit and we gotta get us a storefront?
So, I mean, I've been through a lot. Like, my selling journey, my entrepreneurial journey has been through a lot. When I was, I was continuing to sell stuff at the thrift store. I was selling a little bit of Supreme, selling some vintage. I actually hopped on the e-commerce wave, so I was selling chargers for a bit, and that was like one of the things I was like, all right, like this is possible to make a career. And I was buying chargers off AliExpress for like 20 cents a piece, and I was selling 3 packs on eBay for like $8. And that's I don't toss numbers or anything out there, but like I remember from when I was 16, I did 18 grand in 6 months, and that's where I was like, all right,
Off of chargers.
off iPhone chargers. And then ended up getting temporarily banned on eBay because I was using Apple chargers, but they weren't like original Apple. So I kind of got like not a cease and desist from Apple, but more of like, hey, we know what you're doing. Not that I was fooling people, but more so that they didn't like that I was using the term Apple when I was selling these iPhone chargers. But yeah, that was like one of the things that I was like, all right, like this is, I can make a career out of reselling. But I made a business plan in 10th grade for a store, and it was called what was it called? Uh, I think it was PGH Supply. 412. It was something very corny, something like very like 16-year-old. But the idea was based that I was selling some vintage, but 90% of the inventory was Supreme. So yeah, that was like a big thing for me.
Hmm. Booming off the fucking Alibaba.
Literally, no, yeah, and like it was crazy because like the most packages I ever made, or I'm sorry, sold and shipped out in a day was I think 154. It was 150 something. But that was like, all right, like there's a possibility of this. But the charger thing was like very short term. So it was like 6 months. By the time I got banned and was like able to start reselling again, other people hopped on the wave and there was almost like not a lot of margins to be made. So like that was like the initial boom. So like with that money, I wasn't making a ton, 18,000 seems like a lot, but there's a lot of costs up front. I was able to buy like a Rollo printer, a new monitor, and that's what really excelled my business. Being able to prep the packages at home instead of shipping them out from the post office and whatnot.
Okay. So when did it get to that point where you're like, all right, I think I'm ready to, up the storefront?
Yeah. So like to start the storefront, so I want to give it. I already said shout out to my brother, but basically, he had started his own business. It's called Pittsburgh Smoke Shop, and he was doing that for about 2 years. He used to have a partner. It was under a different name, but he actually had his business in this exact storefront that we're sitting in right now. So this used to be a smoke shop at one point in time, and his business was booming, and he had went up the street, got a new spot, and he was comfortable with like, all right, I'm gonna try and find a new leaseholder or hold on to it. And there was 15 months left on the lease, and at this time the pandemic was hitting. I was like, you know what, I don't really want to do the whole school thing. I don't like the whole online aspect of it. I had a business plan since 10th grade. I had some money saved up, and I was like, you know what, bro, like let me sublease this from you for 15 months. Worst comes to worst, I put myself in some debt, and I get to be able to say that I tried what I wanted to do, for my majority of my life. It's like, reselling clothing. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I get to say I tried it. So pretty much, I signed the deal with my brother and his landlord, and I was able to take possession of the storefront of August of 2021, and then I opened the storefront December of 2021.
Fire, bro. Fire. So when you first opened up the store, what was your main priority just getting into the store?
My main priority was like getting people in the store, and like having good clothing. Like I've always washed it and whatnot, but like the thing with me was getting traction here, because like Bellevue, it's an up and coming town, but not many people off the street can be like, hey, yo, like I fuck with vintage clothing, like I want to go shop there. It was like, how can I get people here? So I became more of a destination store. So leading into it, it was a bunch of social media. is what was able to boost this business off the ground, is social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the whole nine.
Yeah, let's talk about the power of social media, bro. Like how that has helped you grow even to this day.
I got to give the biggest shout out to Instagram for basically like not creating this business, but creating the flow for this business. I always give people the analogy. It's like if 10 people walk by the store, one, maybe two would be like, oh, vintage clothing or sneakers. Like I can go in there and I want to buy something, versus 10 people walk by my brother's store, 7 or 8 of them be like, all right, I smoked out to 8. I smoke vapes, or I like candles, or, I need wraps or something like that. Like they can all go in there. It's like most people can do with that. So it's like, so if I'm a destination business, how can I drive people to this store? So it's really putting on onto what I sell. So it's like going back to the Pittsburgh product, like that's what I'm known for, is selling Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates gear. And really putting on, because like going back to people ride or die for the city. If you're a Yinzer, like you're a diehard Yinzer. Like there's no few and far between. You're either a naughty Yinzer or you're a diehard. So that Instagram has driven so much business for me.
Yeah, man. And I see that, inventory is packed in here, but tell us what your inventory was like when you first got into the store.
When I first got into the store, I remember for like 6 months up to it prior, if I was getting 50 items in, I would immediately stash 25 or 30 for the storefront. So when I came in here, I probably had 600 items saved up. And it looked cool at the time. Like right now, looking at the whole storefront, it looks a little light. Like this week, I'm restocking 500 items, which is crazy to think about. 2 years ago, I would have never thought about, for one, having 500 items on hand, or being able to restock 500 items a week. But yeah, I started off very, very subtly, slowly. It was more so like what I had, I put out. It was not like I had a big plan. It was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. And, if inventory was going to come in, it was going to come in. If it wasn't, I was going to try and figure something out. So,
have you ever went to ThriftCon?
I have not. I would love to go. Like I know they do it in like Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA, but like if the next time it was in Philly, I'd be more than happy to be a part of it. Also like SneakerCon too. Like they've branched out. They're now a big open to having vintage sellers and whatnot, because that whole sneaker vintage fashion market has all morphed into one.
Bro, that seems like a whole vibe. Just the different outfits people are putting on down there, you can really tell like they're really for the culture. Now as far as events, what events have you been a part of? Have you vended at? You know what I'm saying?
So last year alone in 2023, I was a part of 31 or 32 events. And that's doing everything from the neighborhood flea in the Strip District, wonderful event, to doing Pittsburgh Pickers, which is sponsored by Zeds. Shout out Zeds.
Shout out Zeds.
Shout out Zeds. They're really good people. I've been buying and selling and trading with them since they opened their doors, and then I ended up opening my own. They're really good people down there. To just doing like fashion events, or if someone was like, hey yo, I'm hosting a small business pop-up if you want to come by, and the one thing last year that I realized and I tried to do is, like, even if I didn't plan on selling a bunch or making a bunch, it was more so getting my name out there. And I think that's crucial, because even if I go to an event and let's say I sold like 2 pieces to one customer, that customer might become a lifelong customer and spend a lot of money with me, and we can have that connection, and I can know what they want and develop more of like curate a taste, for them, and whatnot.
All right, bro. We got a little game here. Fuck, marry, kill. We got, let me see okay. We got race car tees, rap tees, rock tees, Harley Davidson tees. Fuck, marry, kill. Go ahead.
I'm definitely killing the Harley tees.
Oh, bro,
yeah.
What? I wouldn't even think of that off of your story. All right.
Yeah. I mean, me personally. If we're talking about from a selling standpoint, I'm gonna marry them because it's like they're always gonna be around. But like me personally, I love Harley tees, but I don't ride a Harley Davidson, or I don't like ride a bike. I've ridden dirt bikes in the past. I'm definitely marrying band tees and rap tees, just because like they're hitters. They're gonna forever be around. Like I don't think those will ever dissipate. The values might go up and down a little bit, but they'll always be around and killing the last. I'm sorry. fucking the last.
We're fucking the race car tees.
Yeah,
God
you know,
damn it.
it's a quick like wonder, like it's a statement piece. You know, you can rock one for for a day and whatnot, but I'll quickly. That's a one and done situation for me.
Okay, we haven't really touched on the race car tees. What about those do you like? Would you gravitate to in race cars?
With the race, I mean, I don't know, just like the overall all over print vibe to them. You know, it's like cool, it's flashy, but it's not something I like to rock all the time. You know, like Jeff Gordon, you know, Dale Earnhardt, you know, some staple NASCAR drivers. They're cool, but like I don't really resonate with that. So
Yeah, I'm a big into the all over prints and things like
okay,
that's definitely something that I really liked, and it wasn't my thing. I would say like 4 or 5 years ago. Like I'm actually was trying to design a few all over print tees, and you're going to print shops, and they're like, "No, our screens are only this big." You know what I'm saying? But now you see it more frequent in people's designs. With them just being all over the shirt and stuff like that, and I definitely feel like they're pulling inspo from the race car tees.
100%. You know, like the whole all over print vibe. I mean, it's hard to find a printer that can replicate that. And it's expensive versus like if you get a basic 8x12 screen, it's cheaper. But getting like a whole full body screen, like that's hard to replicate, and it's hard and it's a lot of money. So respect to anyone that does do the all over print tees, because it's like you're really putting on if you're going for that.
What would be your most valuable piece in here?
Something on the wall. See, like here at the Closet, I like to specialize in not mid-tier items, but items that you can rock on a daily basis and not be worried if you get them damaged or thrashed or something like that. So I try and carry anywhere from like 8 to 10 high-tier items. So like I think on the wall now, the most expensive tee is $150 NASCAR overprint, that Miller Racing. You know, it's cool. But like I try not to carry too many of those, because when they come to the Closet and they want to spend $150, they would much rather get 3 to 5 items than one crazy item. And I'm the same way. Like I'd much rather get a whole fit out of $150 than one T-shirt. You know,
Right.
So and I respect people that do that, because that's exactly how I am.
Right. Now, what piece are you in search for? What holy grail is out there that you're like, man, I got to get my hands on this?
It's a hat. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates shark tooth. So it looks like a shark tooth hat, and then it's got the Pittsburgh P, which is, I would say, probably the most sought after and worn sports logo. Like you see how many rappers, artists, designers rep the Pittsburgh P and they're not from Pittsburgh. It's just a staple logo. Everyone knows the Pittsburgh P for the Pirates.
Bro, swear, out of all the MLB hats, I could definitely say that a lot of people gravitate towards the Pirates ones. You know
100%, 100%. You know, they go anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,500, and it's like I probably wouldn't fork that out, but like if someone walked in trying to sell one, I would tell them what it's worth and what I'd offer them. Because that's like the one thing, like I'm very fair with my offerings and my buys. It's like if you came in here with a $500 t-shirt, I'm going to try and give you an equivalent value to where you're happy, because I don't want to buy a $500 t-shirt for $10 and then sell for $500. Me personally, I just like couldn't live with that. So I try to keep it fair and, you know, with everyone as possible. And I think that's why people like to sell to the Closet, is because I'm not going to scam people. You know, I'd much rather keep it a buck with them.
Yeah. Now in the vintage community, I feel like there's like, it's a competitive, like just a bit of competitive energy, or like gatekeeping energy, where like people don't, because it's so frequent nowadays, people don't really like to give up their spots, or, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So like, what's the vibe if you're at a garage sale and like another vintage guy just pulls up?
I mean, for me, I'm going to be as respectful as possible. I'm going to keep it a buck. I mean, I'm going to try and get what I want, and they're going to try and get what they want. You know, if they pull an item that I want, I'm not going to be like, you know, all mad about it. But like, I'm going to say, you know, congrats. Like, you know, you beat me to it. And half the time, like, if they're respectful, I'm like, you want it? You know, like, I'll pay a fair price, etc. But, you know, you got to keep, like, respectful energy, because, like, it's a community vibe in Pittsburgh. I will say, like, out of all the cities and what I've heard about, Pittsburgh stores and Pittsburgh sellers are very friendly compared to other cities. So, you know, like, I know, like, the Charlotte thrift area, like the store owner. Like if I own a store and you owned a store, like we would not be in the same room. Like we're competitors versus like me and some other stores. Like we're cool. Like for instance, I was just out to dinner last night with Alec from B-Sides Vintage. He has a store in Millvale, and then I was out to, and then with us was Brendan and Ricky from Heat Check, and they have a store in Munhall. And it's like we're all good friends. Like, you know, we're competitors, but we're also like good homies, and like there's room for everyone to eat, and that's a fact.
Right, and I did see you just if you aren't doing the collab, if you didn't do the collab already, you're looking to do the collab with was it Elcon Thread?
Shout out to Elcon, that's my boy Lucas. We're doing a pit pop-up March 2nd at the Bridges on Forbes Avenue. We're going to have over 400 Pittsburgh items, University of Pittsburgh items, so it's going to go crazy. Our last pop-up before we opened, we had over 100 people in line. You know, Elcon, Lucas, he's a really good kid. He's got a really niche market. He sells strictly pit items, and people love him for that. And, you know, it's you got to respect it, so.
Dope. Now, as far as, you know, notable people, celebrities, artists, athletes, anybody along in those lanes, who do you feel like, you know, wears vintage well, like really just embodies the whole vintage just culture when their style?
I mean, Trav, like from the start, like he has been wearing, whether it's you know, like throwing it back, like one of the things was like the Skull Pile t-shirts, like the green Skull Pile. Like I think he wore that in like 2015, 2016, before even like Supreme put that on, and that's going back to Juicy J, 3-6 Mafia. I think it's Stay Fly, the music video, that's what they were repping. So he repped that, and that's what kind of boosted it up a little bit. And then Supreme ended up catching on, doing the collab. So he's someone that I look up to that was like definitely putting on for the whole vintage scene that I love that he wears. And I've had people like, for instance, like athletes like shout out to Patrick Peterson. He's come in here, buy some vintage items. You know, he's got a great sense of style, so shout out to him as well.
Dope. Now, what brand that is fairly new, let's just say that, nowadays you feel will be a hot vintage brand come 20, 30 years from now?
I mean, Supreme's already, like, they already have stuff from the 90s that's popping right now, but, like, if I was going to put a local brand on, it'd be Underdog. Like, I'm wearing it today. I got it on my racks. Shout out to my dude, Ryan Tutt. It's quality over quantity. Like, the quality of the clothing is amazing, and I love to be able to have it here in store. But I think one thing that resonates with people no matter what is the quality. So it's like, you know, anyone can print on a Gildan tee and it can be hype, but that shit comes and goes. But like quality will last a lifetime. So
dope, bro. How was your experience at the recent, the Refresh event? I see you were just out there.
You know, it was a good time. I didn't, to be honest, like I love Refresh. That was the first event I did back in 2015. I didn't sell too many items, but it was like still cool to be a part of everything and whatnot.
Now, when it comes to the thrifting, you got to come with a nice pair of shoes, you know what I'm saying? And when you look at your shoe rack here, I see there's a lot of Dunk vibes, you know what I'm saying? So is that the shoe like the go-to when it comes to, you know what I'm saying, a good vintage fit?
I would say the number one now is the New Balances, honestly. Just the comfortability. Like Dunks are cool, you know, Nikes go with everything, but you know, New Balances are fire. Like the neutral colors, I'd say that's really in with the whole vintage scene right now. So New Balances, Dunk Lows, and then Air Jordan 1s.
This episode is brought to you by Raw Certified Innovations. And of course, promo code Wagyu. What's promo code gonna get you? Promo code Wagyu gonna get you 20% off, sir.
No, we gonna give them 30%. 30. Good 30.
Okay, so promo code Wagyu is gonna get you 30% off. We're gonna drop that down there below. Make sure you promo code Wagyu. And what is that gonna get you?
We're gonna give them negative removal of all items that are negative on your credit report. Business funding and personal funding, 0% interest, and checks removal and early warning removal if you have any fraud to where you can't open any bank accounts or credit union accounts. Yeah.
So what I need you to do is I need you to shop Raw Certified. But when you go shop, make sure you promo code Wagyu, and we not doing 20%. we gonna do 30%. But if you don't use that promo code, she ain't getting that for Christmas. Yeah, just go ahead. We'll go right back into it.
Yeah, so basically, like with the whole sneaker vibe with the vintage is, I love to carry shoes that people can rock with vintage outfits. So I have a bunch of staple shoes. So you can never go wrong with the Pandas. For a fact, some people hate them, some people love them, but they go with everything. Black and white, you can pair that with any fit, and it's gonna roll. Like the Dunk Lows, going back to the New Balances, the neutral colors, they go with pretty much, any camo, any cool T-shirt you vibe with. But yeah, like I said, Dunk Lows, Air Jordan 1s, and New Balances are my go-to to have in store.
Now I see you got the we're gonna call those the Stiller dunks over there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? You did a nice collab with Dead Stock and Dandies,
Yeah,
right? With those?
shout out Denzel, Deadstock and Dandy. So I actually can sign my sneakers here in the store. Denzel, he's a good guy. He's been supporting me from literally day one. Like when I opened my doors on December 1st, he was here, and he's been buying stuff from me since then. And he came up to me with the opportunity. He was like, "Hey, if you ever want to have sneakers in your store on like a bigger level than what you're doing, let me know. I'd be happy to put some in there." So he pretty much consigns all the sneakers here, and it gives me more money, more time to invest into vintage. And I can pretty much go to Dead Stock and Dandies and New Ken, pick out what I like, what I think the customers will like, and go from there. So as you see, we have a bunch of staple colors, but the newest one is the reverse goldenrods, the black and yellow dunks. On the last post, I think I got, like, with Denzel, we got over 2,500 likes or something on it, and then the post before that, it was almost 3K. People love it. Like I said, I'm known for the Pittsburgh gear. I'm known for that. So it's like you walk in, you get a Steelers t-shirt, you need a fresh pair of kicks, you're gonna get a pair of those. They're fly and they go with any Pittsburgh fit.
Yeah, I know you're making a killing out of those with Stiller season.
Oh yeah, I was joking around with my account, and I was like, can I convert my Roth IRA to reverse goldenrods? Like the Pittsburgh sneakers, it's like you can get them low now, but like when Steelers season comes up, like those things are gonna be worse than bread. So
Yeah, bro, I see y'all put that post up. I'm like, yeah, that's literally on brand for what you do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Pittsburgh sports, like I know those are gonna fly off the shelf.
oh yeah, and it's cool because like a lot of people will come in from out of town. Like that's like the one thing over the past year. Like I was saying, Yinzers or ride or die. Like the amount of people that I had come in the storefront this past year, 2023, and be like, oh hey, I'm from Dallas, or hey, I'm from New York City, I'm from Colorado, I'm from Kansas, and like I'm here for a Steelers game, and they would find my video on Instagram and they want to buy a Pittsburgh t-shirt or a Pittsburgh jacket. Now, since these reverse goldenrods have released, it's cool because a lot of those people just coming in for Pens games now this time of year are trying to cop up a pair of those, and they're cheap too. They're $160. That's what I have them in here for. You get a cool pair of sneakers and you can head to the local game. So,
Who's your favorite Steeler?
Controversial, Ben Roethlisberger. Quarterback, can't go wrong. So
He's brought us a lot of wins, man. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Is whatever you want to say about Ben, like that guy's a winner, man.
yeah, and just like overall, I mean, you can pick out some goats like Lloyd or anyone, Woodson, but go throwing it back to like the '90s, But people also love coaches like Cowher and stuff like that. So. But yeah, no, I'm taking Ben over as my favorite because that's what I grew up on. What you got to remember is I was born in 2001, so I grew up on Ben being the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more my era is Big Ben. So shout out him.
Yeah, man. Shout out Ben, man. We gotta do an official like Closet Steeler collab. You know what I'm saying?
On the way, that's the goal.
Yeah, we're gonna manifest that. Whether it's the Steelers, whether it's the Penguins, whether it's the Pirates, but. Yeah, we gotta get a nice Pittsburgh sports collab going on here, just because you really support the Pittsburgh sports a lot in here, bro. I see that a lot. You know what I'm saying, through your brand.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And that would be a goal. Like if I could do like what I'm manifesting for, if I were to manifest, a couple things in 2024, it would be for one, a new storefront, but for two, an official collaboration with the Pittsburgh sports team. It would be very fulfilling for that because it's like that's what I'm known for in the vintage scene. So to be able to connect my business with one of those teams would be would mean the world to me.
Yeah, for sure. So you did touch on just the growth of the brand. What does that look like for you in the future?
So for the growth of the brand, like some things I'm looking to do is I'm looking to collaborate as much as possible with local businesses, athletes, etc. So like I've been doing collabs with Denzel, Elcon Threads. And this year I'm gonna do maybe like some NIL deals with like pit athletes. And eventually, like if I were to connect with like a Steelers player or something like that, like I've had a few come in. But like eventually I want to get somewhere where it's like if I could get contracts in place and be like, all right, if they post the Closet or something like that in a Pittsburgh fit, like I think that would be pretty cool.
Nice. What, as far as location, where would you like, to get the second closet going?
So more so before I get the second closet going, I want to upgrade this store. So like right now we have like 5 people in the store and we fit, comfortably, but you give it a Friday or Saturday when there's 10 to 12 people in here, sometimes 15, it can be crowded. So the next goal is to upgrade the overall square footage. For one, get more product out on the floor, and then 2, allow more people in here to shop comfortably. So I've been looking around in Bellevue. That's where the storefront's located, Bellevue, PA. I would love to stay on the north side of Pittsburgh. There isn't, as much as I said, like there is other vintage stores and whatnot. I'm really pretty much the only spot on the north side of Pittsburgh. So I want to stay in this area. It's a great community. But yeah, the next goal is to get a bigger and better storefront.
Nice. Now, is there any local thrifters or other thrift brands that we didn't touch on that you might want to give a shout out or just give some shed some light on?
I mean, honestly, I like shout out to @Cody Unfolded Vintage. He's one of my main sellers. He's a super nice guy. He's a full-time CMU student, and then he's a part-time thrifter. So I love to be able to support him and all he does, and he helps me out with inventory. Shout out Zeds. Shout out B-Sides. Shout out my dude Shop Monarch Studios. He just opened a store in Etna, PA, 6,000 square feet of vintage, which is crazy to think about. It's right by like ID Labs and whatnot. So if you're ever in that area, check it out. But shout out to the whole Pittsburgh vintage community because everyone, like I said, going back to it, is it's very friendly rather than neck and neck competitive.
For sure, man. And we're definitely growing here when it comes to the vintage stuff, bro. Now, is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want the people to know about you? You know what I'm saying? Anything that we may have missed?
Like definitely like peep the Instagram and and see the growth through there because it's funny. Like over the past 2 months or so, 3 months ago, I've gained 20,000 followers on Instagram. But if you look back on it since I started the store, I've been producing the same content. So go back, take a look, and it's cool to see the progression of the store. And when I went from restocking 50 pieces all the way now to 500 a week. So that's something I like to put people onto, and want to give a big shout out to all the followers on Instagram and whatnot. And yeah.
Now, for a kid that pretty much starting in your position right now, working to get to where you're at, and they're just looking at you as an influence, what advice would you give them?
Keep going. Like I said, going back to the tattoo on my leg, it's skills are cheap, passion is priceless, consistency is key. And it's like anyone can get a college degree and get a big boy job, do that. But passion is priceless. So if you love something, it's literally worth, it's worth everything or nothing. So, and consistency is key. If you keep up with what you love, eventually the money's going to come. Eventually the customers are going to come. Eventually, like, life is going to be fulfilling. So, just keep up with what you're doing. If you love it, keep at it. If you're doing it for the money, make your money and get out. But like, the whole secondhand industry, whether it's fashion or whatnot, it's going to keep booming, especially in today's age. So keep at it, find new ways to source. Like I said, thrifts are getting a little dried up, like Goodwill and whatnot. The bins are competitive. Find a different way to get it. So just keep at it. That's like the one thing. That's what drove me. Like it's funny to look back. I have videos of me in 2017 doing thrift hauls on YouTube. And it's like back then, not too many people were thrifting. It was looked down upon. Now it's like it's the big fad. And it's like if you love something, keep with it. And that applies to not just the whole secondhand industry,
There you go, man. You know what I'm saying? He built this from the ground up, and he's continued growing, So if you looking for some real good vintage pieces and you're in the Pittsburgh area, where could they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at the Closet PGH. If you want to shop online, you can go to theclosetpgh.com. Or if you want to check out the storefront, we're located in Bellevue, PA at 10 South Fremont Ave, Bellevue, PA 15202. I'm open Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 7, and I typically restock anywhere from 150 to 250 pieces a week in store. But the best way to see everything, I tell everyone this, is through Instagram. Instagram is the main source of seeing what I got, seeing what I'm putting out. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on there, and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible and get you right.
And you can find me at Hooters ordering a bacon cheese. He's just joshing. But yeah, man, it's your boy D Nice, man, and shit. Another episode in the books, man. You know.
Hey, thank you for having me on, bro. I appreciate
thank you for
it.
coming up here, brother. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we need you to make sure you hit that subscribe button, please. You know, all my Wagulians out there, I see you viewing, you know what I'm saying? But you're scared of that subscribe button. So we want to make sure you know what I'm saying, subscribe. We'll make sure that you tune into the Closet on all platforms, because this guy has been doing big things and it's only getting bigger from here, man. So yeah, episode 4, season 2,
episode 4.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, make sure y'all tune in and keep tuning in, because we got a lot more for y'all on the way, man. D Nice.
Catch you guys soon. Thank you.
We out of here.
Sponsored by McQueen.